Chat Cave with Mike and Max.
Welcome back to the Chat Cave here on McGTV. That's youtube.com/Mike McGTV. Follow me on Twitter at Mike McGTV. And I am joined once again by my co-host, Max, from the Three Geeks podcast over at 3geeks.ninja, youtube.com/3geeks network. Follow them at 3geeks podcast, I think, on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of info.
Yeah, no, but we decided to put the Three Geeks on a whole bunch of different things instead of just having one thing.
Yeah, makes sense. So we are once again gathered here for a little bit of remembrance. It was just last week, right? Or a week and a half ago, we were talking about Neil Adams. And then another kind of DC figurehead in terms of artwork recently passed away. We're here to talk a little bit about George Perez, who did some Batman adjacent stuff, certainly, but I think he's best known for like his redefining of the image of like Wonder Woman. I believe was one of his big things in his career.
Yeah, I think like New Teen Titans was.
Yes, that's how it's Batman adjacent was. Yeah, he galvanized sort of the Teen Titans brand. That's when they brought in Starfire and Cyborg and Beast Boy and all those characters.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
but I mean, this is a great artist. From all accounts, a good dude. And like, if you needed a splash page with every superhero imaginable, this was the guy.
the amount of detail that he put into not just splash pages, but just like the amount of detail in even individual panels it's pretty magnificent. Like he had an eye for spectacle. Nothing far grander probably than like say Crisis on Infinite Earths with those covers that just sprawled out across like several different characters and worlds. Like it is insane. Like the amount of talent that this guy had.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't really follow him, too much per se, but yeah, again, it's like when you saw a Perez, you knew who we were looking at. It's just like, yeah, unmistakable. Like it's just or unmistakable. That's just again, like I really just know just for like I think there's like he did the Death of Superman. He did one where it was like everyone at the funeral.
Yeah, he did like kind of a layout for it and so forth.
And then there's just like a bunch of different scenes where it's like, okay, well, we've got 35, 45, we need everybody in this picture. And yeah, again, like, everyone is there and like vivid and they have, like all the detail is there. And he's just a great artist. He never didn't do a whole lot of Batman, but yeah, Batman adjacent.
And Batman, I'm sure, is there in the big splash pages. And like we mentioned before, like the Teen Titans, had Robin. Was he the one who redesigned Robin into Nightwing? Was that him or was that someone else?
I think that was him.
Him and Marv Wolfman, I knew, handled kind of that transition.
Yeah,
where Dick Grayson was like, okay, I'm not going to be Robin anymore. And his first Nightwing costume was very much an 80s costume, I'd say. The open chest with the flashy yellow on the side. And yep. But I mean, it's just incredible the amount of work that he had over the decades, not just with DC, but like he kind of had a pretty stellar run on Avengers as well. Did JLA meets the Avengers, which is like I read like the first couple of issues of it. I'm gonna have to go revisit it again because I don't think they've ever done that since. I mean, they did like Marvel versus DC stuff, but
and they did the mashup one where like DC and Marvel characters were like kind of
Oh, amalgam.
amalgamated. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, there's not a lot of meeting of the two universes.
yeah, the big teams, so to speak. But
Mm,
I'm gonna have to go back into that. And yeah, just from what I've been hearing about this guy is just what a legend and a gracious person as well. Um, and to say on his passing, like the fact that he really took the situation of his own mortality by the horns. He was just like, I know, I got a couple of months left. I'm gonna, you know, tie up loose ends and, you
yeah,
know,
get everything I need done, and that's you don't obviously if you know that you're dying, that's one thing, to take care of everything. It's got to be rough to I've just recently had a couple of deaths from friends of mine have
mm,
had family members who have died, and it's a whole fiasco. If no one's set up or ready or prepared, or there's no this or that done. So yeah, I mean it's a very really weird, very large undertaking. Death is a whole deal, and yeah, that he would hang on and make sure that everything got handled as best it could is something admirable for sure.
yeah. I'm reading up a little bit about it too. Is he basically, yeah, with 6 to 12 months prognosis, he chose not to pursue treatment because wanted to probably have just better quality of life in that span of time.
Hmm.
And they were saying like in early 2022, both DC and Marvel had tributes to him and his work in their comics, and they jointly approved a limited run reprint of JLA and Avengers.
Okay.
Um, and I guess that had been the reprint had long been kind of gestating because disagreements about release a re-release was always up in the air. But I guess it's sad that this is what get really got them to finally put those disagreements aside and finally distribute it again. But I'm about to check it
Again,
out.
that's also saying something too. Like you can get DC and Marvel to work together. Like
Hmm.
that's pretty huge, and that just shows the impact that he had, and and the weight of everything.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and donations from the or proceeds from purchasing the re-release, I guess, is going towards the Hero Initiative, which is all about helping out comic book creators and their families when they're in need and so forth. So that's something. Wow.
Super super cool. Yeah, I don't got too much more to say on it. Just like he was working, I think, pretty much until the end. Like, uh,
He semi or he either fully or semi retired in 2019, I believe.
mhm.
Just at that point, I don't think he had the prognosis, but it was just for multiple health things. Like this guy had, I mean, he powered through a bunch of health things. Like he apparently had like a hemorrhage in his eye that made him blind partially in one eye, and it's like as an artist, you're kind of like Jesus.
Yeah,
That's
right.
so.
Yeah, that's like the Beethoven being deaf kind of it's kind of
Mhm.
deal.
But it's like the fact that he kind of persevered through that, and like I said, left behind this monumental body of work, and all the things he did for, say, characters like Superman, the Teen Titans, Wonder Woman, especially. Like I'm gonna have to go through his Wonder Woman run now. I saw a couple of issues here and there, but now I really want to see like where that art really starts to take shape with regards to the definitive look for Wonder Woman.
Mm,
So
for sure, for sure. And yeah, like iconic characters and just yeah, again, like good runs on comic books that really changed the face of again, like the Teen Titans changed the whole thing of it. Wonder Woman changes the whole deal. Like people are looking at his work from then on and running with that.
mhm,
And yeah, that's it sucks that he's gone. He was obviously retired already for a few years, but or
yeah.
semi-retired. But yeah, it's another great comic book artist.
Was he ever on the docket for our Wizard World circuits?
Not that I remember.
He wasn't the absentee con
No,
daddy that Neil was?
no.
When are you coming
So
back from getting cigarettes, Dad?
but yeah, so I don't think he probably stayed closer to home if he was doing conventions. But
Hmm.
I never got the chance to meet him or to see him, just draw because I do like at the conventions. I like to just it's weird, but I just like to watch people draw. Like,
Yeah.
if they don't mind you standing there, like it's pretty cool
Well,
to.
we've developed, some connections and friendships with artists like, say, Sean Forney or
Mhm.
other artists like that. And yeah, when they're at their booths, like if they're not signing stuff or selling off prints, it's like they're sketching, they're drawing, they're like at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
And it's just amazing to see the stuff coming together. I would have loved to see him actually like draw something that would have been really really cool. But say la vie.
yep.
Time
Like I,
marches on.
like I said, there's at least a body of work that you can tap into at some point. Uh I highly recommend Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like just the scope of that story and his artwork lends credence to the scope of that story. Like check it out.
Mm.
It's when things really I felt shifted in a different way for DC at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, that was something, and that was kind of like a huge undertaking too. That was kind of like the first time that they'd done this like universe molding where they're like, okay, we're taking everything, we're condensing it down,
Yeah.
and we're doing this thing. So, again, he was on the forefront of that too. And like now it's kind of like a yearly deal, but like,
Yeah, it was the start of what we consider to be the company wide crossovers
mhm,
essentially. Like yeah, and you see them every quarter it seems at this point.
right,
Like
yeah,
there's not even like a
way too
break in
much.
between. Yeah. But yeah, it took many decades of DC history and it was just like we need to make this more accessible for new readers and actually bring in like some artists and some more contemporary styles of art that would be accessible for newer readers perhaps. Like as much as I love like the illustrations of say a Bill Finger or some of those earlier artists and so forth, this became a little bit more like, oh, they look like actual living, breathing humans as opposed to like Dick Tracy characters.
Right.
So, and there's a charm to that earlier stuff too, but like this is kind of the point where it's like, here's where they can tell like compelling, dramatic stuff as well. So,
Yeah, and like like the Neil Adams we talked about, where he in the '70s and '80s kind of changed the look
mhm.
of of the superheroes. Like, hey, to be more realistic and yada yada. Like the Perez was on that front too, where it's change. Like they changed the whole comic book look for yeah, so, and you can't put the weight of that into where because it's like
Right.
now like how many people have like drawn Wonder Woman thinking about Perez, like thinking about like this is what I remember when I was a kid Wonder Woman looked like.
Yeah.
I'm doing my take on that, and yeah, it's just it's really amazing, and yeah, in the golden age of comic books too. So,
Yeah.
or is that silver
Bronze
age,
Age? It was going into the Bronze Age, I
bronze
think.
age?
Yeah.
Okay, but
But
yeah, but I think the stories were getting better, and
mhm.
or I should say, stories were more for adults, and people were realizing that is not just kids who read this. Or like I'm looking at this cover right now, Superman crying over Supergirl, like just
Mhm.
great stuff.
The emotion on the face.
Yes.
And I saw this on social media too. It's like people will like cosplayers will came to him at conventions and he would be the one like holding a Supergirl cosplayer in his arms and being like like just have being a good sport about,
Yeah.
one of the most iconic covers, I guess. But yeah, of course thoughts go out to the family during this time certainly because he was 67, I believe.
67. That's
Yeah.
it's kind of young, but
Again, cancer sucks. It's,
yep. Sure does.
but at least he was able to kind of be like, "Mm, I'm not going to let it get me down." So,
Yep. Um
well, again, we're at a loss for words at the
yeah, it just sucks. Like again, like it's sad, but like, again, death is part of life.
Mhm.
George, I'm sure he's drawn lots of, he's touched on the subject a lot. So I don't want to be sad just because he's passed. But it's it's it was definitely a life and a career that we should celebrate and and talk about, and I really do appreciate everything that he's brought into my world just through his art. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Go go get his stuff, everybody.
yeah,
Go get his
yeah, and
go go.
yeah, again, like I said, Crisis on Infinite Earths is iconic anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely check that out.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna have
like
to finish the JLA Avengers run
for
now that
sure.
it's reprinted. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to pick it up.
I might go pick up some of those issues too if I can, if
Hmm.
they're still available at my
Yeah,
local. But it's yeah, and then also that it helps the Hero Initiative is great. Like I really like the idea of going to a good cause, and a cause that I think he would be proud to.
oh, absolutely.
uh, mm, all right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, there's not much to say. Like,
I mean, yeah.
but
Our last
I
couple of
definitely.
episodes, we've been kind of somber, I know, but I feel it's good to be able to pay homage to these people, as much as we can. And
Yeah.
so
All right, yeah, for sure, for sure.
we'll
George,
we'll be
Mr.
back with something
Perez.
fun next time.
Yeah, we gotta figure out something something to do that yeah, we could laugh and be a little more chipper about. But again, you can't just let these things go by
Yeah,
without marking the date and time and saying, hey, like this was the guy. So
yeah,
he was the guy, and he will be missed.
absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Max, for coming
Well,
back on here. Again, you can check out more of Max over at the Three Geeks podcast, threegeeks.ninja. And of course, you can check out other Chat Cave episodes here on Mike McGee TV, youtube.com/Mike McGee TV. Thank you again, old chum.
yep, and you can catch us same chat time, same chat channel, Mike McGTV.